after we will have a debate on both papers. The second speaker is Luigi Santopaolo, professor of Biblical Hebrew and Aramaic here at the PBI, and his research focuses on Jewish apocalyptic literature and Semitic philology. He published his doctoral thesis with the title Sogno, Segno e Storia, Genesi e Fenomenologia dell'immaginario in Daniele da 2 a 6. The title of his talk today is Journeying Through the Heavens, Celestial Motion in Aramaic Apocalyptic Literature. Thank you.
I hope that you can hear me clearly. I think so. Thank you very much, Professor Molla, for this kind invitation to this conference. At first, I want to thank you for not only for the invitation, but for the pride to be your colleague here. And thank you for the continuous cooperation and the advices that all the times you give me. So I really appreciate it. What is my paper about? Okay, at first I wanted to introduce the idea of the motion verbs about astral bodies in the apocalyptic literature, but to present all the verbs and all the cases would have been too long for this conference. So I chose just one specific case, that is the sun motion in the Aramaic text, starting from one case in the Bible from Daniel 6:15, where we have a mention of a specific motion of the sun, and moving to the Qumranic literature, trying to see what is the evolution of a specific expression concerning with the sun motion. As you can see here, we have two different expressions that we can find about the sunset specifically, that I call the entering of the sun, because this is the verb that is used about the sunset. The sun enters. Well, we really know this expression also from Biblical Hebrew, because the idea of mavo, Hashemesh, is an idea that is well attested in the Bible. The sun enters into his chamber, its room, the bridal chamber. This is something that comes from Near Eastern mythology about the sun. So it's something that is well attested. The point is here, why do we have two different expressions in Biblical Aramaic that are like Ma'ale, Shimsha, and then we have Ma'arav, Shimsha? These two expressions seem to be referred to the same idea of the sunset, but there is a little difference, I suppose, in the use of one and the other expression, not just concerning with a difference in meaning, but a difference in a specific technical use that could be evolved about one root and the other one. Now, as you can see in the text of Daniel 6:15, here we can read that then the king, as he heard the thing, was very displeased, and he set his mind on saving Daniel, and until the sunset, that is v'ad me'ale, here we have a problem of critica textus, me'ale shimsha, that is translated like until the sunset. The word ma'al, or as the maktal of the verb alal, that means to enter, is not very attested also in Qumranic Aramaic. The few attestations that we can find are not so complete, so we have very fragmentary texts about this word, this maktal of the root alal, that means to enter. We know that according to some Targums and some Targumim and some translations that we can find in Qumran, especially about the book of Job, that there is a correspondence between bo and alal as motion verbs, so this is nothing new. But it's interesting how the mavo that is more frequent in Biblical Hebrew doesn't pass as the malal or ma'ale in the Aramaic that we find in Qumran, or in the normal Aramaic that we can find in Elephantine. Because also in this case, the most attested root is ma'arav and not ma'ale, about the sunset, I mean. Now, what is the point here? As you can see, also in Qumran, the expression, the word ma'arav referred to the sunset is more attested. Even if we cannot compare the two nouns because they are not well attested in literature, we can have a comparison between the two verbs that mean to enter or to set, refer to the sun. One verb is the verb alal, as I told, that is, as you can see here, we have a reference that is quite clear to the Masoretic text of the book of Job, in which, and Qumranic reference, in which we can find the verb alal instead of the verb, for translating the verb yavo, so this is a common correspondence, I repeat it. But what is the point here about the sunset? As you can see, if we compare the idea of alal as the entering of the sun and arav, in the most of the cases the two verbs appear together in a sort of endaides. We have arav va'al, the sun, arav va'al. That is translated like set and entered. That is a quite, we could say, quite literal translation of the two expressions that seem to be referred to the same ideas that now we will see on the comparative plan with the Akkadian language as well. So the point is there a real difference between ma'arav and maleh? They are completely synonymic, they are just two synonyms, they mean the same thing, or there is a little difference in the uses of these two nouns and these two motion verbs like arav and alal. I would move to have an overview on an outline on these two verbs and two ideas to the Akkadian language, just to see as in Akkadian the typical verb is the verb erebu, that means to enter. That is normally used to mean the entering of sun. Here you can see the noun erebu, erbu, setting of the sun. I give you one quotation, but there are many, of course, that this is a very common word. Kima erebi ana shamshi kiyam takabi. At sunset you speak as follows to the sun god. As you can see, here it's used the noun erebum. I can notice that when the noun erebu is strictly referred to the sunset, it can be used also without the genitive of the word shamshu. So they say just erebu to mean the sunset without specifying the sunset of the sun. But when we have the same noun to mean a direction, so as the west, in that case we always have the genitive of the word shamshu. So it's not just erebum, the west. The west is always like erebu shamshi or something like that. I give you here a case. As you can see, the first word is tzit. This is the verb yatsa, the verb to, then in Aramaic it will be nafak, to come out, referred to the exit of the sun. And then you can see here eribi shamshi with the specification of the genitive when it is used to mean a direction. So we have a very specific technical use of the expression with the genitive of shamshi. Then let's look at the verb erebu. What is the meaning? The general meaning is to enter. We said this is referred to the mythology, the idea that the sun during the night enters into the bridal room. The sun as a god or goddess, depends on the pantheon we refer to, but the idea is quite common. But here, as you can see, when you said sun god, here we have Shamshu ina erebika nur nishi uttati. When you said sun god, the light of mankind is turned into darkness. And another case, at the sun god, as the sun god enters to his house. This is the reference to the entering the house. I put here an observation that is given by the Chicago Akkadian Dictionary about a connection between the roots that we can find in Akkadian and in Hebrew. And Akkadian dictionary says that the roots that should refer to the idea of erev, like evening in Hebrew, and the idea of the evening in the Akkadian language should not be the referring root should not be the root erebum, but the other root that is erepum, that means to become like dark, to be dark. This is like the reference. But I could compare the syllabic writing of the forms, and in most of cases they are ambiguous. So in some cases we could have or the verb erebum or the verb erepu, just reading with different syllabic variation. The point is that the two ideas of erebu shamshi, that means the entering of the sun, and the erepu Shamshi, that means Shaumi, that you can see here, that means the becoming dark of the day, they merge into one we can say endiadic expression. They are used erebu and erepu in a sort of endiadis, so the sun enters and becomes dark. At a certain level, the two words are used like synonym, and they are practically identified with one word when we speak about the sun, because these roots are used exclusively for the sun, not for other astral entities. In this specific context, I mean, erebu, like to set, it's not the same in Aramaic. Because in Aramaic, the root Arab and the word Ma'arab, it's not used just for the sun. It's used for any astral bodies. In the Qumranic literature, the majority of uses regards the moon and not the sun. But this is a very specific root that is technically used in this context. Before passing to the Talmudic evolution of the two words, because it's a very interesting point, I can see here that the word Ma'arab, that seems to be the most diffused and the most used word in the Aramaic context to speak about the sunset, enters into Aramaic language by the influence of the astrological, we can see, and astronomical studies of the Babylonian context, maybe, and the word becomes a sort of technical word that is used anytime we speak about the set of any astral body. At the same time, the word Ma'ale that is used in the book of Daniel is a very marginal word in this context to speak about the sunset, but it's evidently a Hebrew calque of the idea of entering that differs from the word Ma'arab, that is more like a technical word coming from the Babylonian astronomy. Now, can a motion verb become a sort of, because this is something that comes from the idea of anthropomorphization of the celestial bodies, this is clear, but the idea is this: how can a simple verb like to enter become a very technical verb in a very specific context? Because to speak just about motion verbs generically as the verb that means to move or to do something or to have a posture in a very wide context is one point, but the translation and the use of the same words in different contexts with the idea of a very technical use of the same words that can help us to identify a specific scientific area even in this text. I think that this is a very interesting point in the study of the motion verb. Can some motion verb become very technical words used in a very specific field to mean very specific ideas, as in this specific case? I suppose that here the two words are not just like synonyms, but they reflect two different, we can say, areas, and even two different and one of these words is very technical, the other one is a calque of the Hebrew bow. That is all I had to say about this root. Thank you very much.